Oil falls as more OPEC drama causes instability. Saudi will have to engage in dramatic cuts to production while other members of OPEC don't want to budge on their current production for obvious reasons. Less pumping means less money. There's also a very big issue that as Qatar leaves OPEC, we start to imagine which country is next to follow. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to talk about oil, we're going to look at OPEC, we're going to talk about Qatar and Saudi and Russia and so much more. Let's begin by taking a look at this. You're looking at oilprice.com. I tend to look at this website whenever I'm looking for oil-related information. You can see right now WTI crude at the time of this recording on Thursday's trading session is at about $51 a barrel. Brent crude has fallen below $60 a barrel. At the bottom of the page, you can see oil prices crash as OPEC Plus scrambles at the 11th hour. There's a lot of details about this. There's a lot going on today, and I want to get into it. So let's look at this first. Oil prices crashed early Thursday. OPEC did not reveal a solid agreement in Vienna, at least not yet. After hours of meetings, OPEC canceled its news conference, awaiting the Russian delegation set to arrive on Friday. So there has been delays. There has been controversy. They're going back and forth. You have to do this, but if you're not doing that, I don't have to do this, and so on. So let's look at this. The oil price crash offers the group a reminder that the market is banking on a sizable cut. There's too much production right now. There is a glut of oil, apparently, that's what we're being told, and so the prices continue to drop. Nobody wants to cut because they're not going to make the revenue from it. They're not going to keep their workers working. So of course they want to continue, but OPEC is trying to control them and saying you have to do this. OPEC met Thursday and Russia's oil minister arrives on Friday where he can essentially tell Saudi Arabia what to do. The rest of OPEC, save for the UAE and Kuwait, are either unable or unwilling to go along with the production cuts. Clearly, it seems like Saudi wants to reduce oil output to have a balance here in the oil market, and there has been a problem right now where some parts of the group are saying, look, we're not going to cut. Others are saying, well, if you're not going to cut, then why should I cut? So that's what the details of this article talk about. I want to move on to this. The tiny, energy-rich Arab nation of Qatar announced on Monday that it would withdraw from OPEC, mixing its aspirations to increase production outside of the cartel's constraints with the politics of slighting the Saudi-dominated group amid the kingdom's boycott of Doha. So you'll see that there's tensions between these two countries. I'll show you more in a second here, but this is not good if you're in Qatar. You don't want to have to deal with that, and geographically the way they're positioned obviously gives them a disadvantage in this respect. So they obviously want to look to going outside of OPEC. It makes a lot of sense for them. Is OPEC dead or alive? Oil markets watched closely this week as OPEC worked with Russia to try to cut back on production, which suggests that the group still has some vitality. They're talking about OPEC's power, OPEC's control over oil. Obviously, this is one very, very dominant force in this particular market. I don't like any cartels. I think this is a big mistake, but this is how they do it. This is how they dominate a single sector. They have this monopoly that they can decide what the prices will be at any given time. Qatar leaving OPEC is largely a symbolic step as the Gulf state is a marginal player in the oil trade. But it makes a statement. It's saying we don't have to deal with your BS. We don't have to do what you tell us to do. We are going to make our own decisions. So you could see that they have taken the step. They're going ahead with it. But the question I posed in the introduction was, will this be the first country of many in the next little while that decides to leave OPEC? Will the significance of OPEC wane? And as we have all of these trade tensions going on, will it only further intensify as the crisis unfolds? They are making a point it will hit the credibility of OPEC as well as it will hit Saudi as the de facto leader of OPEC. So the country produces about 600,000 barrels of oil a day compared to more than 27 million from all of the members of the cartel. So it's a small percentage of the total of OPEC. Let's not deny that. But it is important when you start to have countries leaving, when you start to have countries ditching the dollar, for example, even if they're small players in the world, it does have an effect over time. The withdrawal decision reflects Qatar's desire to focus its efforts on plans to develop and increase its natural gas production from 77 million tons per year to 110 million. Imagine what this could do to the price of natural gas. Would that extra exports of natural gas bring the prices down? Would it give more options? Would it find a better situation for those who they're exporting to? Will this make the country a richer nation? There are a lot of possibilities here, but again, it's a smaller player in the global field, but I do think it's important when you see these big institutions, these big supranational entities getting chopped down, and it really shows us how weak they can actually be as long as countries are willing to be bold and brave. Saudi Arabia dropped another major hint that it's moving forward with plans to turn rival Qatar into an island. Now, this was back in September. I didn't cover this previously, but I wanted to show it to you. Imagine this. So if you look at where the country is positioned geographically, they can literally turn Qatar into an island. A senior Saudi official seemed to confirm that the kingdom is moving forward with an ambitious plan to turn Qatar into an island. They're going to build a canal along its 61-kilometer border with Qatar. So they're literally going to cut it off, and it's going to be its own island. Saudi Arabia has not officially commented on the project, but Saudi guards took control of the border crossing in April. So they've made the steps. They have made it not official government policy, but those in the government have spoken about it. And in June, local media reported that 5 international companies have been invited to bid for the project, slated for completion at the end of the year. Saudi Arabia and other Gulf nations are involved in a bitter diplomatic battle with Qatar. Imagine what could happen from something like this. So you're looking at where it is. Take a look at the bottom of the page. They can easily cut Qatar off in this respect. It's unbelievable what they're planning on doing here. I think it's interesting. They show you right now Qatar's major gas and oil fields if you want to see that for yourself. And then last but not least, just wanted to show you this related to that. When something becomes too expensive, when life gets too tough, people take to the streets. It could be about gas. It could be about food. It might be about a shortage of something. It might be for any reason whatsoever. But the truth is that what we have today is an unfolding series of events in a major catastrophe that is being played out for us in slow motion. The only reason why nobody is freaking out today, except for small bits and pieces here and there around the world, it's that you're inside of it. But when we look back at this time, 50 years from now, we're going to say, wow, these events really unfolded quickly. Look at how they progressed. Look at how this happened and that happened and the dollar struggled and the crisis unfolded and so on. But that's only in the pages of history. When you're seeing it, when you're in the middle of it, nobody figures it out. Look at what happened through 1929 up until the 40s. There were times of ups and downs. It was pretty bad, don't get me wrong, but there was times when they suggested everything was okay now, everything is recovering, and then it only got worse. But in that time, if you were there, you might have not thought the same way that we do looking back on it, let's say, 100 years later. So that's it for this video. If you found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support this channel. So I do appreciate that very much. Last but not least, if you want the financial education you were not taught in school, these 2 books have it all. You can actually flip through the books if you're interested. take a look at the link in the description. It's going to bring you over to Amazon. They have a look inside feature. It's going to allow you to flip through the pages to see if you're interested. And if you want the audiobook version instead, you can get that at themoneygps.com. So I tried to get these podcasts to appear on Stitcher for the Android users out there, and unfortunately they do not accept any sort of video podcast. It doesn't automatically convert to an audio, so none of them are getting uploaded to Stitcher. If anybody knows how to fix that on an automated process, please let me know. Otherwise, unfortunately, I can't do it. For now, they are on iTunes Podcasts, which accepts video, so you could see it there. There's a feed burner feed. If you want that, I can give it to you. I don't really even know what that means exactly, but it's all automated. It does itself. I noticed that there's well over 100 people already that are now on the iTunes podcast. So I know a bunch of people prefer to see it on there. That's totally fine. If you want to check me out, just type in The Money GPS. You'll find me. All the videos automatically go up. I don't know how long it takes, but it's a very short delay. So you'll probably be able to see them in a reasonable time frame. That's all. Take care.